Recording started.
This meeting is being recorded.
All right. I want to say a big hello to everybody who is here tonight. A big thank you to my panelists and all watching for this wonderful presentation and much needed presentation titled Black Men and Mental Health. So I want to start out by thanking everybody here for showing up and being part of this conversation that is plaguing our world today. You are now all part of the solution, and you should give yourselves a big round of applause for that. So here's what the night's gonna look like. Okay, let me share with you. Just so you know, I know 2 hours is a long time. So I just kind of want to show you guys what the itinerary is going to look like. You know, so you're not anxious. I know for me, like 2 hours, I want to know what's going on. So here is basically what the night is going to look like. We're going to have admission. We're going to give time for the panelists to introduce themselves. It's a short little clip that I want to watch and have a discussion about, which is going to actually lead us into our discussion for tonight. At around 8:30, we're going to open it up. We're going to allow you guys to unmute your mics at that time and ask whatever questions you might want from our panelists. And then we're going to just basically wrap up. Okay. I'm asking everybody to actually keep your mics muted until we, you know, open up the floor for y'all to unmute yourselves, except for the panelists. All right. So another thing I wanted to mention to you guys is I want you to take care of yourself first. Okay, because I know tonight we might touch a nerve, we might trigger something inside of y'all that, you know, is very uncomfortable. So I want you to take care of yourself first and foremost. If you have to log off, then you do that. If you have to mute it for a little while and come back, then you do that, right? But I want you guys to take care of yourself first. So for everybody who don't know me, my name is Monique Fowler, and I am the founder of Monique's Healing Lounge. And Trina, if you can please put my website in the comments. So part of Monique's Healing Lounge is we helping to destigmatize mental illness, right? We are opening up these doors and busting through them to destigmatize mental health at the forefront. And on my website, we've had a lot of different interviews with a lot of different people in the community about mental illness. And I definitely encourage you guys to reach out and watch those videos when you get a chance. So we've discussed things, mental health and self-care, mental health and losing someone that you love, mental health and college life, right? Where we went on and we had one-on-one conversations with people in the community about these topics. So if there's any burning desire in you, anything that you might feel, you know, you might need help with, these videos might help you out. So definitely tap into that as well when you get a chance. So I also want to, again, thank my panelists for showing up, and I'm gonna have them introduce themselves in a minute. But I want everybody to understand that I'm just a facilitator, right? The topic is Black men in mental health. I'm not a Black man, right? If we were doing Black women, I can be all up in here, but this is not my show, right? This is why I have this wonderful panel of Black men that's gonna, you know, give their experiences, give their advice, share some resources, right? This is their forum, actually. I'm just here to help facilitate. And then toward the end of it, I'm going to open it up for questions if anybody, have any burning questions. And also, I know normally there's like a Q&A. I don't see it, but I have my beautiful moderator who's going to be checking the chat. So, if you have any questions along the way, feel free to drop them in, and she'll just revisit them a little later on. So, without further ado, gentlemen, you can actually be anywhere in this world right now, but you guys chose to be here. So I want you guys to take out the time to introduce yourself and speak a little to why you agreed to show up tonight. Anybody could go first.
I'll go first. My name is Edgar Pratt. I am 47 years old, a father, a husband, a grandfather. And the reason that I joined this meeting, because I think it is very pertinent that African-American men get to see individuals that look like them speaking about something that plagues our community. And it is the unspoken issue that we're facing that has to bring light to it. So that's why I'm here.
Thank you.
My name is Sherman Sparrow. I am a licensed professional counseling associate. I have a master's in counseling and human development. And I am here because I was invited, and I am proud to be here. I'm happy to be here. And I think advocacy for Black males is very important, and it is extremely underrated. So that's why I'm here.
Thank you.
All right, my name is Michael Fry. By degree, I'm an engineer, done some work in engineering, now going forth in business, doing whatever I can to further my business. Right now I'm working at the post office, but I agreed to be a part of this panel because Monique, you reached out and we've had some discussions before, and we actually worked together, so, in the past. So this definitely is something that we need in our community. A lot of times we've gone through life and we just kept it on hush, and then we'll talk about it later. We're not gonna get into it now, but anyway, we really need this. We need an outlet, and both Ed and Edgar and like Sherman are like people that I have outlets to as well. So we definitely need this. So thank you for having this, and thank you for having us.
You're welcome. So for me, why is this important for me? I have a lot of Black men in my life, right? I mean, my son, you name it, friends, family, and even people I don't know, like people are taking their lives. These Black men are taking their lives left and right. And it's burning my heart that this is happening, because we need y'all, right? This is my thought. We need y'all here. Like, y'all are here for a reason, a purpose. And taking your life is not the answer. So this is why I chose to do this, okay? This is why, like I said, my business, like 60% of my business is about mental health, mental illness, self-care. It's something that hits me to my core. And I'm hearing too much about suicide. And I'm hearing too much about suicide in our Black men. So this is why I decided to do this, okay? So again, thank you guys for showing up. So what I'm gonna do right now is I wanna play a brief movie, a brief little skit, and then we're gonna spark our conversation from there. Oh, sorry.
Just life insurance. Award-winning actress,
Monique, the volume is down too low. You can barely hear it.
I can't even turn it off. I'm sorry, y'all. I don't know how to turn it off.
Go into your computer settings and make sure that your volume is turned up on your video.
You might want to pause the video as well.
Instead of all people who die by suicide are actually men. Let's go to the National Alliance on Mental Illness because I think talk about being strong. A lot of times men are supposed to be strong and not supposed to share their feelings, have all these emotions. They go through these things and don't know how to deal with them, don't know how to cope with them. That's when the help comes in. That's when the mental health comes in. That's when talking on checking on other people. And don't forget about the guys that are involved in these suicides also that are the fathers, the brothers, the cousins. Because Ian had a father, he has a father, Ian Senior. You know, his and his wife also now called sadness. So at any time that people are going through this kind of thing, confidence, love, prayer, care, and check on, not only in this situation, but in life.
Yeah, and that's a really good point that you brought up. With this thing with stuff, and Ian, his father is going through the same thing, and sometimes, and then Sunday, you have a lot of questions and asking yourself, and instead, I lost. Honestly, asking, never think it's going to be. But yeah, just check on people because it's important and know that if you're going through these things, that there are brighter days. I mean, and I'm very spiritual. That maybe not religious, spiritual. I just thank God that I have faith because I always say that I'm far from and you have to understand that no matter how bad you think.
All right, I'm getting some text messages that y'all can't hear the video. I did everything that I can do. My son keeps calling me, I guess, to help me with the audio. But I mean, basically what the video was saying that it's just basic. I'm also gonna send it to Trina so she can post it in the chat. Maybe y'all can take a look at it a little later. I'm not sure, Mike and Edgar and Sherman, if y'all actually got a chance. Did y'all get a chance to look at it?
Yes.
Video?
Yes.
Edgar, can you share just a little bit about what the video was about?
So the video is basically talking about how individuals suicide rate has increased, and it talks about the different things that are plaguing our Black community. One of the other things that it talked about, the stereotype that when you see us and everything seems to be okay, and it's not, because so many individuals have so much that they're dealing with and it's not being addressed socially, and they're dealing with it privately with all type of different things, and most of them are now averting to suicide.
Right. And it also touched on like check on your friends,
Yeah.
check on your loved ones. You know, people are suffering in silence. You know, basically do what you have to do to make sure that you're okay. All right. So again, I apologize. I don't know why y'all couldn't hear it. It appears to be up everywhere on my end, but that's technology for you, and that's ignorance for me. But anyway, so, based off of the information that we just gave Edgar, Mike, Sherman, y'all can jump in. What are your thoughts about that video?
From what I could read about the video and what I know actually about the story of that actress and it was her son, correct?
Correct.
Yeah, suicide is seen as a big taboo in the Black community and anybody of person of color in the community in general. But once suicide happens, it's not really processed, fully, especially within the Black community. And it's like a domino effect. So if one person in a group of friends or family commits suicide, there's a high likelihood, about 70 to 85%, that someone else within that circle or extended of will commit suicide because it's a social issue. It's a very unnatural act to do because of the way the human drive is to want to procreate, to want to be born. It's so difficult to do. It's a struggle to learn language, to walk, to eat, but we desire to do those things because we see it around us. So once somebody commits suicide, it's like a domino, like I said, and it's really hard to process that with individuals who aren't used to processing their feelings using feeling words and recognizing their coping skills, recognizing their triggers, and knowing how to appropriately, without self-harm, without suicide, process grief and what bereavement looks like versus like regular depression. So, and that's a lot. But yeah, that's what I got from knowing the history of Regina King. And that's so unfortunate that that happened with her and her family, but it happens a lot, unfortunately. Yeah, it does.
I'm glad you touched on coping skills and triggers, because the triggers is kind of something that I mentioned earlier, like just knowing when it's not good for you, or knowing what type of things trigger you to make you want to react in a certain way. And also being able to process all of that.
You started the video. Before the video, you said something as you were doing your introduction about first take care of yourself. I think that's one of the things that individuals are not taught, especially Black men. They're taught to provide, not to be that emotional person, be strong. And internally, they're dealing with so much more. And so externally, they try to put up this facade that everything is okay, but they're struggling, and not understanding self allows them to revert to those things that then causes them to do self-harm to themselves: drugs, sex, alcohol, abuse, physical abuse to themselves or to others. And then the last resort is suicide, because now the numbness is no more there. Now I have to find something that take the numbness away permanently. And that's the result of a lot of individuals reverting to suicide, because they don't know themselves and they don't know how to look internally to find those triggers and those things that have caused them to be put in positions that they are not dealing with things that they need to deal with, and stop running from them.
Yep, and as you guys talk about that as well, like you were saying, we've been taught to just provide. The emotional side, you kind of just like suck it up and keep it going. I think now, even when as Sherman mentioned about bereavement, when just a regular process of somebody passing or dying, we wear black sunglasses to cover our eyes. But actually crying and that's part of the process is healthy. And if we reach out and we say, hey, I need some help, I need to talk to a therapist or whatever, we like, oh, we don't do that. That was traditionally, that was what our answer is like, and those who cry out for help, you know. So now it's like you guys were saying, we don't know what to deal with it because we haven't been taught. I think fortunately some of us now in this generation or now are learning, yeah, I need to seek some help. If it's got to be professional, professional help works. Back in the day, they were just like, it's your pastor, just go to your pastor, it'll be okay, you just pray about it, but there's some other action steps that we need beyond the prayer, beyond, you know what I'm saying, to really cope with things and move in a healthy direction. and it's okay, honestly, if you're not seeking out help for emotional or being able to express that, that's where I think that part, definitely is unhealthy, and we've learned it now with the repeat of things and stuff like you said, where we weren't used to seeing as as much suicide because that was one of the things that we don't do, so even if somebody coming out and saying and crying out for help, their help was, we don't do that. This is what you do, instead of further doing that. And like Monique know, as we had this come up, that we had a situation within my personal family that in this time that needs some attention. And now that we've been talking about it, more aware of it, we have all kind of things to get help. No matter if they get a little defensive or they say that's not the issue, or just say, hey, I'm concerned and here's some things, I'm here, call me. When you feel like that, call me and I can point you to some directions too that'll give the professional help too as well.
And I like to echo everyone that the ultimate goal of someone when they are trying to commit suicide, and unfortunately, if they're successful, is for the pain to stop. The goal is not for them to actually want to kill themselves. They're just in so much mental turmoil and emotional turmoil. They want that pain to relieve itself. And I think that's where people flip it and they get confused of what the ultimate goal of suicide is. And then it becomes more, like I said, a social issue.
I totally agree. But one thing that I think we need to do as human beings is start recognizing that suicide is the last resort. There are things that are leading up to the suicide that people don't pay attention to. There are life situations that causes individual to show signs, but not really say that I am in need of help. Because mental health is something that you dealt with in the dark, you didn't deal with it in the light. So by not dealing with it in the light, that's where you find so many people abusing all of these substances that causes them to revert from the light and stay in the dark, because they don't know how to be transparent about things that have plagued them, that has caused them to hurt in ways that they don't know how to speak about it because they were told not to speak about it. And you have individuals that become, in today's society now, it's more common now that you see young individuals out here doing marijuana, vaping, alcohol, sexual abuse to one another and even to themselves. That is actually the beginning stages of mental distress, that they're trying to tell you, I need help, but people are not looking at it. They're just looking at these people are being individuals that are out of control, but they're not out of control. They're actually a silent cry for help. Please help me. I don't know. And the children are getting younger with these things. When elementary school students are bringing guns to school to shoot teachers, they're bringing weapons to school to harm their peers. It's a cry for help because individuals are being bullied silently. They're not speaking of that. But when the act of someone pulling a trigger or someone hanging themselves or doing something else, then they want to bring it, oh, this kid was a great kid, but this kid was suffering silently. And they've shown you these things were going on, but people ignore what is being said when they're not verbally saying it because they're just not looking at individuals in that way. And we tend to focus more on what a person say versus what we see. More things are being said and they're not even being said, if you understand what I'm saying.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. So my question is, how would somebody, so for someone who's self-medicating, harming themselves, sexually abusing themselves, like how would someone know that this is happening if they're not saying it, but they're showing signs?
Being awake rather. paying attention to individuals. I've caught a number of my students are cutters. And they like, how did you find out? Because I pay attention to you. I notice things that most people don't notice about you, but I notice those things. And then when I notice those things, I didn't belittle them or, try to make them feel bad. I began to build a stronger relationship with them, let them know that they're not suffering alone. They have someone that's there for them. And when I realized that building those relationships then caused those individuals to become more trustworthy of me. And then they began to open up about the things that causes them to cut, do drugs, be promiscuous sexually because of things that have happened to them. And then everybody is not comfortable with speaking with a licensed psychologist or psychiatrist. So we all have a form of therapeutic methods within us eternally that we have to learn how to utilize when we're put in situations that we have to remove self from, but we need to learn how to be transparent and not judgmental. So many people don't want to discuss things because their individuals are not being transparent, they're being more judgmental. And so when you become more judgmental, then you have more people shutting down. But when individuals can see you for you and not for what the persona say you are, then they can begin to connect with you, to build that relationship with you, to transform the internal illnesses that they're dealing with. Because so many individuals have dealt with molestation that has caused them to become abusive towards themselves in so many ways. Some of them become dealing with alcoholism and abuse from their parents, physically, emotionally, and that has caused them to do so many things. But when you come into a situation where I see this same type of behavior and you're demonstrating that to me, most children and adults are not going to engage with you. They're going to shut down. But when you can take self out and allow a person to see you for you and not for a persona that you want people to see you for, then the relationship transformation can begin to help them mentally and emotionally.
Yeah. And that rapport that you're talking about, Edgar, is real.
Yeah.
Like any group of minorities, especially, but mainly with children. But any group of minorities, if you want to build a bond, that's how you get to know them. That's how you get to know their signs of maybe they're about to commit suicide, maybe they're about to do self-harm, maybe they're about to go into substances. Because believe it or not, a lot of teenagers, a lot of people will say, hey, like, let them do their thing. They got to be on their own private little area. No, that's when you got to be in their face all the time. They like that. They like to be redirected. Yeah, they might have a little attitude. She might have a little lip. He might try to get a little big. But then when you put them in their place, they really feel safe. They really feel secure. They feel heard. They feel listened to. They feel protected. And a lot of times adults will have fear first when it comes to a child that just because he's 6'4", he's 16. You have to put your foot down and let him know, like, hey, if anything comes through these doors, these walls, I'm gonna protect you. You're good. You're good around me. Anytime you want to call me, yeah. So that rapport really puts a barrier in between self-harm and suicide, because they'll come to you or come around you just because. They may not say it because they may feel embarrassed or ashamed. And we have to watch that too. Embarrassment and shame is something that turns its ugly head a lot of times when it comes to self-harm and mental health, man. And we forget that children don't have life experiences to go off of to know to get past embarrassment and shame. And it's
All right,
hard.
let me jump in here because we're not
Okay.
talking about children.
A black man. Okay, I'm sorry. I'm
How will
sorry.
you,
Well, I guess see, like,
how,
that's where it starts.
Yeah, that's where it
right, no,
starts.
for sure, it does. But
Yeah.
now that you're a man,
Mhm.
right? How do you get that network of people around you? How do you feel safe and secure to share something with somebody? How do you build that security as a Black man?
So Monique, I would say first and foremost, you got to deal with the trauma at the age that it started. A lot of men are physically and age-wise are men, but they're still little boys because they haven't dealt with the trauma. The trauma that occurred when a kid was 5 or 7 or 8 or 10, that's where you see a lot of men in their emotional and social interaction with individuals because they're not dealing with the trauma. You have to first go back to the trauma, deal with that, accept what has happened, and not say that it's your fault, but begin to form a process of healing to move forward. Until you get to that place, you're still a little boy. You're never a man until you're able to sit down and have real conversations with yourself so that you can move forward and have real conversations with individuals and become transparent about them and not feeling that you're being judgmental about it or someone is judging you because of what has happened to you. Then you can move forward, because a lot of men in today's society can't have real intellectual conversations with individuals because of the trauma that they dealt with, because they're so busy looking down on them when they need to look at them and say, how can we help heal you? Until we get to that place, we're still dealing with children.
Mhm. And that's why my sessions are the way they are. That's why when I'm dealing with an adult black male or adult male of color, I have to start with like children's therapy.
Yeah.
I have to go there. It always starts there, but I'll stick on topic. But yeah, that's where it goes. Because I have young adults who are in their 20s, 25. My oldest male client that was black, he was like 60. I had to revert back to like 13-year-old, 14-year-old coping styles.
Yeah.
You know, his trauma went back that deep and he never talked about it. And it was substance abuse specifically, but that's only the surface. So substance abuse is a glacier. So yeah, he was like, I was the first person who ever like listened to him. He felt listened to, heard, and understood. And he was 60 years old. And this for me, this was like 3 years ago. And I'm looking at him, he's looking, I'm like, wow, like this is to go that long and you've been through so many different types of clinical therapy or group therapy or spiritual therapy, and this is the first time you felt heard from your trauma as a 60-year-old man. That's deep. Mm.
Yeah, I definitely do agree that they have to, that y'all have to go back to when the trauma started. But I'm also trying to figure out if you are already in a dark place, if you're already in that mindset, are you really thinking about going back to trauma? Because as we all know, going through therapy is a process. And sometimes it's a long and grueling process because you got to find the right therapist. Some therapists out here, they're not supposed to, but some of them do judge you, right? So now you got to end that relationship and restart again. I mean, you already in a dark place and you don't even see therapy as an option. What's next? What y'all think is next?
I think therapy comes in different facets, I would say. It's not just sitting down with a licensed individual to have those conversations. It's really finding someone that you can become vulnerable with. And the only way you could become vulnerable with your person that you have connected with is first being true to yourself. And when you learn how to be true to yourself, then you can open doors with individuals. A lot of individuals. I'm not going to speak in second. I'm going to speak first. In one of my biggest issues was dealing with the trust of men because of what I dealt with in my past. In order for me to start building healthy relationships with men, and it was even with therapists I didn't even trust. I first had to internalize what I was going through. And then the person that helped me to build a stronger relationship with men was a woman, because she had to take me to a place of darkness in order for me to see. It wasn't every man that I came in encounter with that was going to do me the way that those individuals did. And once I realized that it wasn't them anymore, that they took all of that hurt and they put it on me. And when they put it on me, I then held on it so strongly that I learned coping mechanisms. And my coping mechanisms failed me every time it was a conflicting situation with an African-American man. Because now the aggression came out. Because all you all trying to do is hurt me just like everybody else. And then I had to realize that everybody's not here to hurt me. I have to really give everybody an opportunity to be true to themselves, because I need to learn how to be true to myself. And when I learned how to be true to myself, then I was able to start building healthier relationships with African-American men.
That's
And that's,
excellent.
I want to piggyback a little bit with what Ed is talking about too. That's one of the things that I've done too, is just like, whether at work or out and about and things like that, just kind of, anytime I have an opportunity to build upon a relationship with, with the guy, with the brothers, like, let them know it's okay to have that safe space to just not be okay. There's sometimes that we're just not okay, but sometimes you feel like nobody wants to hear that, nobody wants to listen to that. But just having that friend, or that brother that'll be there and listen to you, and listen for a minute, and give you some correction if need be, but actually hear you out. And Sherman said that earlier too, establishing those relationships. So that's one of the things that I just look out for as well, because I know in areas and times that I didn't feel like I have that safe space to talk to, a person to talk to. And both of these brothers on this panel too have been those places that I can actually come to. And we have many conversations, and from that, it just build more trust. And then I've been that to other people. As we're talking about this, just today, I had a coworker just kind of upset with, what was going on, where I overheard it. And I'm letting them know, hey, you got to encourage yourself, brother. Like, if you need something, let it out, or scream or whatever, like, talk to me. Here's my number, call me, or whatever, don't do that for every situation, but I'm just saying, that's what I do. I'm not licensed or in that profession, but I've been able to use, one, my relationship with God and relationship with other people to allow, to get some discernment, to see some signs of some things, and sometimes when you've been down in certain areas or depressed, going through things like that, it's like you recognize that in other people, or people want to recluse from a group. I've noticed that as well. I've kind of come to them and say, hey, come join us and stuff like that. So those are some of the things that I've done too. One, using things that I've been through and overcome, been able to open up and like just see other people that may be headed down those areas, and be in that safe space for them, letting them, like these brothers both said, letting them know it's okay. I'm not going to judge you. I just want to hear you out, give you an opportunity, and over time build that relationship so that whenever anything goes down in life, you can talk to them,
That's what's up. Yeah, and my mind is spinning. Like I'm all clinical over here. I'm like shoot, 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 shoot. Like, which I was basically talking about in my clinical state. Like, is just compartmentalizing. So
Mhm.
imagine a person like they got to be strong. Like, oh, I went through that when I was 5. Boom, nope, ignore it. I'm gonna go forward. I'm gonna get good grades. I'm gonna be basketball star. I'm gonna do my chores, and I'm gonna get better in life. And then at 15, when the trigger happens, nope, nope. I got to study for these SATs. I got to study for these ACTs. Man, we got to get on it now because junior year is coming. Okay, I can get it. By the time you hit 25, it's like, man, I'm broken down. It's still on my mind. The subconscious won't let it go. I feel heavy for some reason. Everything is going right, but I just feel so sad. But you
Yeah.
don't know you're getting triggered over and over and over and over. So
Mm,
then you got to decompartmentalize. You got to
mm,
open up those doors to where you've closed everything off with lock and key. You got to search through the ocean where you threw the key, open up that door again. You got to go deep and go hard because now you realize subconsciously, I'm not going to keep on going through this till 65. The brain's going to be like, look, you either going to get it together now. I'm going to make sure you're going to get it together now because this is it. I tried to wake you up at 5. I tried to wake you up at 15. Now we at 25 and you think you can keep pushing me down, down, down. all that partying, all that drinking, all that sexing, all that stuff. No, come on now. And that's when people have breakdowns. That's when people like you have to release and give up and give in and let it pour in. And you got to decompartmentalize, and it feels so scary because
Yeah.
by the time we become adults, adult men, we not taught to decompartmentalize. We not taught to have a group of homies over every week and just vent. We not taught to vent. So when we don't vent, we just compartmentalizing everything to be so strong. Mm-mm. Yeah, that's when I step in and like, let's decompartmentalize. Let's get in a state. Let's do some inner chi. Let's color. Let's draw. Let's, I don't know, stand on our hands. I don't know, whatever works for you. I done had that before. Hey, he was mixed with some Far Eastern. I was like, okay, let's jump into your culture. Okay, let's go. We're gonna be right side up or upside down. Yin yang, what's up? And then he was like, upside down. That's how I feel. I feel upside down. Let's get upside down then. So you've been like this for 5 years. You've been literally upside down on your head for 5 years. He's like, wow.
Mm. Yep.
We have to, and you got to, as rapport, getting to know the client, getting to know their background, making it all about them.
Yeah.
You know,
Right.
so yeah.
So let me ask y'all a question. I think Edgar kind of touched on it a little bit. So the question is, are y'all all in a point in your life where you feel comfortable reaching out for help if you're not okay? And if you are, please explain how you got there. And if you're not, please explain how do you cope?
I am very comfortable with it. There was a point in my life when I wasn't, and I got to that place going through divorce number 4, and going through the divorce number 4, I started looking at myself, and when I started looking at myself, I saw a broken man trying to be a man, a husband, a father, and I couldn't be. I was at my former church, and my bishop said to me, and this has been something that has been like illuminated in my life. My ex-wife said, I don't trust him, in our counseling session. And he said to her, trust is not an Edgar issue, it's your issue. And that was the light that flipped on for me, because the trust that I was having conflict with individuals, it wasn't about them. It was about me. And when he spoke that into my life, the light came on. And from that point forward, I felt more confident in who I was, because I thought I was a very trusting young man, and I thought I had people that I felt that can trust me, but it was with limitations. I had to take those limits off. And when I took those limits off, I became more confident in who I was, mentally stronger, and emotionally more determined to be better than what I was. So if I needed to find someone to help me get to that next level, I didn't have a problem with picking up that phone. Hey, Mike, we need to talk.
Right.
And I can talk to him and know that I didn't have to be judged about what I was saying. I didn't have to be looked upon differently because of the relationship that I had with him. I can be true to myself, and being true to myself is how I'm able to now to key in to individuals that are hurting, because I'm not looking at them. I see the hurt that's inside of them.
That's
And I'm trying to get them to come to that place where they can see that it's an eternal struggle that you need to allow yourself to go to in order to release it. As my brother was saying, it's about compartmentalizing things. You got to go to some the compartments in your mind and unlock the key and throw that stuff away, because you've locked it up for so long. It carries a weight. That weight begins to pull you down in more areas of your life that you didn't think that it would, because those weights are mentally becomes physically, then become relationships. So you then have to learn how to deal with all of that so that you can go to individuals to take you to that place to unlock and start disposing of.
Okay. How about y'all? Are
Well,
y'all at a place where y'all comfortable with reaching out? And how'd you get there? And if you're not, how do you cope? What do you do?
Yeah,
Um,
so
oh,
go
go ahead,
ahead.
Mike. Go ahead, Mike. Yeah, you go ahead. You go ahead. You got it.
I'm comfortable now, like reaching out. And what happened was it just basically got down to just a low point where something just had to change, something had to be different. And then when I reached out, the response that I thought I was going to get, shame or judgment, things like that, I didn't get. And so I realized um, I can't be vulnerable. That I had that fear of being vulnerable with people, and it has to be the right people because some people still they'll judge you and tell you business. I can't believe Mike told me that. But I let that go. Like I don't, you see what I'm saying? I let it go. So it just, like I said, I came to a low point and it was like I just opened up, being vulnerable, and it was like it didn't hurt me. I got better. It grew the relationship stronger, and so it was like, yeah. Now I just, yeah, like I said, these two brothers right here. I'll reach out in a minute. Like, hey, I need some help. I'm going through some. I'm comfortable now. Though.
Okay. I'm gonna say honestly yes and no. Yes, I do like to process. I enjoy like utilizing my feeling words with people that I trust, groups that I trust, about really deep issues in medium and surface. But I'll say no because also I had a tendency to, I don't know how to put this, like people would say I'm hard to read. Like, and I consciously didn't notice that I was doing those things. I've heard that in my entire life. Me and my brothers were all hard to read. So if I'm so hard to read that to some individuals in their perspective, I have some type of wall up to an extent, but that's me just being myself because I'm a slow lover. I take my time with people. I don't really like latch on to a lot of people. I enjoy my own space. I'm very social though. So that's why I can say yes and no. I really do. I really did struggle as a younger adult, um, coping and reaching out for help and asking for help because I was very high functioning. I was very on the go. I was very involved. I was like, I can do it. I can do it. I can do it. And now that I'm getting older and wiser, I'm realizing like, hey, like asking for help is pretty cool, man. And it feels great not to wear that on my shoulder so much. And when I start to realize that I'm doing that again, because old habits are old habits, I'm nowhere near perfect. I'm like, hey, I have to stop myself. So I have to start with myself, sit in my little chair, write my feelings down or whatever, play with some Play Doh, and be like, hey, this is what I need to do today.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna do this castle, or tomorrow I'm gonna make this little Play-Doh, a little triangle, a little pyramid, whatever, and it's gonna realize some things for me. So yeah, I open up to people, but sometimes I don't, and I'll be like, no, I can do it. I'm gonna sit here and I'm gonna be okay, and I'll be good.
So it sounds like having a support system, people that you trust, um, being comfortable in that space, and basically not caring what people think about you are some signs or some telltale things that we can do to release those demons and be open to get help.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah. Let's switch the topic a little. Let's talk about family, right? Kind of want to know, how were you guys raised, right? What did it look like in your family? And if you're a father, how are you raising your son?
Okay, so I was raised with both parents in the home, and church was like my mom was raised in church, her mom, and back and forth. So we were raised in the church, and so we did a lot of things family oriented. Like we always ate dinner together, and I've noticed that was the time my parents were checking in to see what was going on, like how was your day and stuff. I know it now, but before it was like, yeah, we didn't eat dinner in different areas. We all sat together and we just kind of talk about the day or just whatever, have conversations, or if the TV was on, we watch TV. So what you see on the Cosby Show, I know I've heard some people say that they didn't know any families like that, any Black families like that. That reminds me of how my family was. Like, they're gonna go through and teach the lesson and make sure you understand this thing. And he would, my father would be like, he would sometime like, hey, that wasn't smart what you did. He would just do that. So that's kind of what I was raised. Education, they value education, they value faith, they value family time, and just yeah, just any gifts that we had, they sold into those gifts, like, sports or yeah, they just always kept us busy. They want to keep us busy, keep us off the street. And so anytime they saw any kind of like activity or a thing that you like I like tennis. My father put me in tennis class or bowling classes. In Detroit, they have what's called Police Athletic League. And so we were always in the summer in some kind of PAL league, because just to keep us busy.
Did you ever see your father cry, Mike?
There's been a few occasions. And I will honestly say it was later in life when my auntie, when his only sister was killed, when he called me crying, at the time I was at work. And I was now about 20 something. And that was probably about the first time I saw him cry, like for real. Any other time he had the sunglasses on and kind of hid it or whatever, but yeah, that broke my heart. My father crying. But again, he was open enough to do that. I was there to grieve with him. Of course, that's my auntie, but that's his sister.
Did he allow you to cry? Did he allow you to cry?
Yeah.
Not at that moment, not at that moment, because clearly that's devastation, right?
Yeah.
Just generally, just period. And this question is actually for the others as well. Like your father, what kind of role model was he? Did he allow y'all to cry? Was it, oh, toughen up, you a man?
So I was raised by a single mother. My dad decided to exit our life when he was 5, and then pop back up when we were 11, disappear until I was 19, then pop back up when I was 30. I think I was going on 30. So that true statement when it says hurt people hurt people. I was hurt emotionally and physically because my mother was hurt. My mother was damaged by a lot of things that she hadn't dealt with. And not dealing with it caused her to only raise her children with the emotional damage that she was under. And it caused me to then make a mental transformation in my life, not to have that type of relationship with my children. At least I thought. I think that I did the best that I can. I have 5 older adult children, and then I have younger children. My adult children is being a single father, trying to navigate through relationships and dealing with my children. I thought I was doing the best that I could, but there was still some hurt there that I didn't realize until my children became adults and we had conversations. Some conversations were receptive and some conversations were not. It was closed off because I wasn't at a place in my life where I could deal with those truthful conversations. So when my father did kind of come into my life and I allowed him to stay, I did see my father cry, but it was because the children that he abandoned put him in a situation where he didn't have an out. It was like, you've ran for so many years, now you got to listen. And he then he wept, but his weeping wasn't that of release. His weeping was that to me that, excuse what I'm about to say, damn, I'm stuck in it now. But I'm not at a place where I'm ready to deal with it. So it didn't hinder me from showing my emotional side or being vulnerable to certain things. That was something that I think the God that I serve gave me an internal emotional odometer to allow it to function and not shut down. So I learned to, my children have seen me cry. My daughter is on here tonight as well. So she can speak to anything that if I felt like I wasn't able to do, but I try to show my children love and try to show them that there is an emotional side. And I have two young men that I never told them it was okay to cry. You can't cry, because I don't want you to grow up with all of this emotional tension inside of you. Then you become a very physically or abusive person to yourself. So I never told my children that they couldn't cry. You can cry, go ahead and cry, and it's okay. And I'm okay with it, because real men show those emotions. And I think that has allowed me to be comfortable as the parent that I am, because of the tribulations that I've gone through that have allowed me to walk the path that God has designed for me.
See, I was raised as well by a single mother. My parents divorced by the time I was 1. So my father went back to Florida to live with his family where he came from. So it was, and I had 2 older brothers. So it was a bit different for me and my experience, how that divorce affected me versus my older brothers. But I would say I've never seen my dad cry. I've seen him be passionate about topics. I've seen him be upset or not pleased with something that I may have done, you know. But he was never that stern parental role with me. He was far away, so he never really like instilled like value systems or morals within that growing process. It was on my mother and my mother's side of the family. And
Family. Please be advised that all school and work locations will reopen tomorrow, Friday.
Somebody got to mute their mic.
I was about to say, I thought I got scared. I was about to say,
Tornado warning.
please be advised. What? Wait a minute. Oh man. Okay, I'm back. But yeah, so it was a different dynamic. And bonding with him was very like secondary growing up, and now it is a bit better of the rapport, but it's not the same as like talking to my mom, or how I used to talk to my nana, or how I would go to him for it, or go to somebody else for advice or a needing or something. It's more so just getting to know him. So yeah, it was rough growing up, you know. And the thing is, I just look just like him, you know, and I look like his side of the family. They're from the islands, you know. I don't look like my family here. They're Creole and black. That's a different look. So it's different hair texture. It's a different experience. It's a different walk, different tone of voice, all of that. So I was losing my daddy's son. So I'm over here like, what do I do? You know, I had to figure it out as a young man. I'm still figuring a lot of stuff out, but like I said, the bond is better. But yeah, it was rough.
Do you have any children? Any
No,
sons?
I only have a fur baby. That's it. No kids over
Okay.
here. I'm still growing up. No.
Okay. All right. So, like, as far as marriages, do y'all think mental illness could be the reason why Black families and marriages are destroyed?
I think so.
Unmute your mic. Oh, okay.
Oh. I think so. One of the reasons too, because as Ed was saying earlier too, if we haven't dealt with things in the past, sometimes we're like boys in marriages, you know, and it's just like if you're not dealing with those things, that baggage or whatever else you didn't let go, you bring it into your marriage, and your spouse is not understanding what is this or where it's coming from, you know. And sometimes some people in their marriages, they may not have that feel safe to discuss that with each other, you know, but they have to, you know, in order to bring healing, so that healing can come forth and be a better marriage. But I do think that are those mental things, not dealing with your emotions, not knowing how to express yourself or properly communicating, does spill over into a marriage, and either people don't want to do it or they may not last. And yeah, I mean, and just being married, I know both of us have had stuff that nobody's perfect. So like we all got stuff, but now you coming together with a lot of that baggage and stuff that needs to be let go. But as the Bible says, iron sharpens iron. Sometimes you see those things, you see, wait, this has to change. I have to do this different. Okay, yeah, I have to be a little more vulnerable with this. You know, yeah, I didn't want to cry in front of my wife. I did. I mean, it was like I just didn't want to do, like, you know, and I actually did it when we're dating, and she's like, oh, you know, and I'm like, stop doing it. That's why I don't want to cry. But knowing that, like, but serious though, knowing that that's okay, and she sees it as strength, you know, and actually that, you know, gave me some brownie points, you know. Like, what can I say?
It boiled down to that comfortable space again. I'm seeing the common denominator here. Go ahead, Ed. You was getting ready to say something.
I was just gonna say, I totally agree that it does have a huge part of the destruction of Black marriages and marriages in general. One of the things that we don't take into considerations when two people become one is that you're dealing with two different social, emotional, economic backgrounds, spiritual foundations, relationships with individuals that they have had in their past, even if they're not sexual, they're emotional relationships that you bring into a marriage that causes individuals not to be vulnerable to that other person, but to a certain point. And then it causes that confliction between the relationship because now one feels as if they can't open up or they can't be free with the person that they're married to. And then that other person then begins to sometimes seek other emotional support or other things to help them. And it causes the person to struggle mentally when it comes to that relationship because they're trying to figure out, well, I'm doing everything that I'm supposed to be doing. This is it. This is that. But the reality of it is that you have not really, once you become one, you haven't really decided, let's start unpacking. Just because you got married, God has brought you together. You still need to unpack. And a lot of people still come to the marriage and they have their luggage still packed because they haven't really dealt with the real truth of things that they have not dealt with before getting into a serious commitment of marriage. It's one thing to date somebody because they're going to get the surface stuff. But when you become one with someone, they need to get the open baggage and they need to really start unpacking it so that you can really start sorting through those things and then start to realize that this is not going to be a part of my life. This is not going to be in my marriage. This is not what I'm asking people to deal with. This is something that I have to deal with. Once you come to that truth with yourself and in your marriage, then the healing mentally can start happening and you don't become so mentally damaged.
And as the person who's not married, who has not been married, and I'm not trying to hurry up and get married, and I mean that, what I've noticed in couples counseling and what I've noticed within peer relationships and others relationships as well is that the main issues mentally and emotionally is that the two individuals don't want to accept that people want to be treated how they want to be treated. If you treat a person the way you want to be treated, that's a miscommunication.
Yep.
That's a barrier and that's an assumption. So, for example, you have two different households. Y'all come from a set of large sibling sets. He has six siblings, you have six siblings. So there's going to be an assumption from somebody, maybe that, oh, okay, like they know what it's like to be close. They know what it's like to have to be able to change diapers. They know what it's like to watch kids at once and multitask and do these things. And then all of a sudden you have children with this person and they are an astute spouse. They know how to go to work. They don't know what they're doing. They've never cooked a meal like unsupervised. They knew how to swivel around and make it sound smooth and look cute and do these things. But then when the baby needs to be fed every 3 hours, you thinking like, oh, you was the third one in line. You know what it's like to wake up every three. No, you wasn't. No, you wasn't, because you was staying over your aunt's house. Y'all was split up as kids. You know, and then y'all got back together and y'all put on a image that y'all was all close. No, y'all wasn't. Y'all didn't all have to sleep in the same bed. Y'all had six different rooms. Y'all had some nannies. Y'all had these things. You didn't want to tell her that. And now all of a sudden she's confused. Da, 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 da. You can't treat people how you want to be treated and think that's going to work in a relationship. You got to start off how they want to be treated. If they're used to toxic behavior and then all of a sudden they want to start an argument all the time and they like, man, I'm a little bored. Why do I feel so bored? You got to know, hey, you used to toxicity. You used to having to go through somebody's phone. You're used to having to chase somebody down. You like, oh, now you're not used to feeling relaxed. Really? I'm feeling relaxed? Yes. Ta-da, mind blown. I'm like, man, these are people, y'all are in y'all's 40s, 50s, 60s realizing this out, but it's okay. It's really okay. And that's why I'm not in a rush. But it really is okay. And I really support that. I love that. I really do. I love that for them. I really do. And that's the most mental and emotional issues that I see amongst marriages and Black couples.
Awesome. Thank you.
Man,
Um,
him saying he not in a rush, that's crazy. It's
I don't
emphasized.
blame them. I don't blame them. All right, so we have like about 15 minutes left before we open it up for questions and answers. So basically I'm wondering, from one Black male's voice to another, what tips or words of encouragement can you offer another Black male who may be on this call right now or see this Zoom call at a later date that might be struggling and feeling unsafe, uncomfortable, apprehensive, afraid, whatever you want to call it? What can you tell them? If you were talking to them right now, what can you tell them?
I would tell them, when we look in the mirror, we're looking at the front part, but there's always a backstory. Sometimes we have to turn that mirror around and start reading the backstory to really know what a person's journey has been. Just because a person look like everything is okay externally doesn't mean that they haven't gone through anything. So once you read my story and you see that I'm no different than you, we can turn the mirror around and we can see each other for who we really are and not for what we want someone to see us for. And then we can begin to move in a direction that will allow us to be true to who God or whomever you feel that your creator has called you to be, you will be.
And I would just say, find your support system, find you just that safe place that you can just, they say decompartmentalize, or just, I say, get to a broken state so that you just down and you just deal with all of your pain that you have, and it's okay. You will survive from that. And from that, just sit in it for a minute, and then from that build. I think when you come to those places of your pain or your deepest fears and things like that, that's where your solutions can come. And that's why I'm just sitting in for a while. It's okay. I know we may have been as a society, as a culture, saying, okay, just suck it up and go on. But Sherman was just talking about it too. You can't keep compressing or just keep pushing things down. At some point, it's gonna come out to the surface, and it may come out in a way that you have no control over. So take some control over your life. I would say definitely learn some things about emotional stability and just deal with the pain, and you'll be okay, and you'll come out even stronger. That's what I got to say.
I would say to the young man, the middle man, the older man, I'd be like, look, sir, when you starting something new, it's kind of like learning a new language, learning a new sport, doing something that you're not used to. You're gonna feel like you're not really good at it. You're gonna feel a little dumb. You're gonna feel a little slow, like it's too heavy, like it's too much. That's normal. Because in the gym, when you start off and you start doing an activity, that's how it feels. It feels like that. It feels like, man, this hurts too much. Oh my gosh, I have to adjust to this. You're supposed to feel that way. So over time, you stop feeling that way because you get more well versed in your feeling words. You get more well versed in like getting to know somebody that's not going to be biased. You getting more well versed in getting comfortable around a group of individuals or a group of newness that used to trigger you because you're getting better at it and you learning about yourself. It's really okay not to feel comfortable. We got to get outside of our cognitive dissonance and like, hey, our value system, our morals are going to be questioned, and we're not always right all the time. That's okay. And then we can be right a lot of the time, and some of the time, and there can be 5 truths in one room. That's okay. That's really okay, y'all. If you used to self harm, hey, you used to. Maybe you're gonna do it again. Is it gonna be the end of the world? Here's some ways we can write this down and make sure it's not. We used to drink. We used to abuse alcohol. And hey, we were stressed out in our 20s. We in our 30s now. Is it the same? When you drink alcohol? No, I wonder why. Growing up, huh? Yeah. You used to feel real dumb in your 20s, young, dumb, and all that. Now we're a little old. It's okay. We here now. We are here. Oh my God. Yes. We got it. That's what I would tell him. All of them. I would tell all the men, all of them, you got this, man. And the moments you feel like you don't, I guarantee if you give yourself a little bit more time and you ask for a little bit more help, if you give yourself a little bit more patience, you're gonna feel better.
A word that I love is grace, right? You got to allow yourself that grace because we're going to mess up. We're going to backslide. But you got to be okay with that and give yourself some grace and restart.
Yes. When you're able to stand in your truth, you understand your grace. A lot of people don't know how to stand in their truth. We have so many people when we have real intellectual or conversations with individuals, we want them to see us a certain way. We want to be so high intellectual when we're having those conversations. But sometimes somebody just needs you to be downright dirty in the hood with them. Because when you get downright dirty in the hood with them, you can let them know that I can relate to you. But if you can't stand in your truth, you can't build nobody. You can't show somebody that grace because you don't know who you really are. We need to learn how to do that. And we need to learn how to help people get to that place. And so many people are hurting because that's all they're asking for. They don't need this highly intellectual person. I need somebody to come down to my level and talk to me at this level so that you can build me up so that I can walk and not crawl. I know I'm going to stumble, but along that journey, I know I got somebody that's going to catch me and not judge me. Standing in your truth.
Nice. I love it. I love everything y'all all had to say about that. So how do we move on?
We move on with having conversations like this, taking them more globally and not just locally. Getting people to really come to the table, be transparent, have those uncomfortable conversations so that people can really see that this is not just a local internal issue, but this is a national issue that needs to have some insight brought onto it, because so many people are struggling mentally that they can't move along physically, that is causing them to now destroy themselves and destroy others. When we look at these individuals that are out here shooting up places, that didn't just start that day. That was a journey. That journey didn't start only in their adulthood. That journey started when they were kids. When you had governors and individuals saying that mental health institutions need to close down versus investing in them, you lost the vital piece of human nature in individuals, because now I don't feel comfortable going to somebody saying that I'm hurting, I'm struggling, I need help. You lost that. But when I can go to a place where I'm overwhelmed and I don't want to have a nervous breakdown, but I can go to a place of solitude that can help build me back up so that I can move forward again and know that that journey may come to a place where I need to go back there. We need to have those real conversations with the people that are in power to really put people and things in place to help individuals that are struggling mentally, especially our Black men.
Yeah.
Black men are struggling every day because they have so many things that are already stacked up against them.
Yeah.
We're Black, we're male, we're living in urban communities. We are under financially economics status with a lot of other individuals. We are dealing with, it's true, baby mama drama. And now I'm not just dealing with the baby mama drama, I'm dealing with a lot of brokenness. But then I have to have a relationship with somebody that I've brought this child in the world with, but I don't know how. So we really need to put systems in place to support people that are hurting and not judging them.
Yeah.
And I think it has to be like literal law, like
Yes.
put in specifically, because I don't know if you all, and I don't know if this is all Kentucky based, but literally a law just got passed in Kentucky to where it impacted everybody who was a community-based therapist. So there's extended codes and then there's a regular code. The regular code is for the first hour that you do for treatment, but the extended code got completely snatched away. Like you can't bill over an hour anymore. So if somebody has two
Really?
diagnoses, yes. If somebody has two diagnoses of substance abuse and PTSD with bipolar disorder, they're typically gonna need more than 1 hour of therapy per week. That's a lot going on,
Yeah.
especially for a younger man. But that's gone now because the lawmakers switched it up and they pushed for the insurance agencies and medical agencies to like take it away. So it's gone now. So it pushes a lot of therapists that are, especially me, to go to places to get salary jobs. And when you get a salary job, that's somewhere where somebody has to go in, they have to walk in, they have to look a certain way, they have to be at a certain state. If they're not there, they're not going to feel safe or secure going in there. Community based can go to the home, they can go to the park, they can go to the coffee shop, they can go to the school, they can go wherever. So it's one of those things. It has to be law set to protect Black men specifically. Say Black men every year are going to be allotted a certain amount of money towards mental health in this community here at this time of the year, this way. And I think that's the only thing that's going to like help us because the insurances run everything. If they want to not pay providers, they don't have to pay us for 30, 60 days. And then we'll get all that money. But I'm like, I needed my $6,000 last month. I
Right.
needed to pay my rent last month. Like it's one of it's those things. So I think law has to be in there. There has to be major community support from the mayors, the governors, the councilmen and women. Yeah, that's my spiel on it. So yeah, it's a lot.
Wow.
I agree
And
with you.
as you saying that, we're dealing with people in position and power that are not mentally stable themselves, honestly, and haven't dealt with stuff themselves. I didn't know that. Wow.
It just happened. It just happened. It got mandated January 1st, but it set in stone like what, 3 days ago.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah. So if it happens here, it can happen nationwide. So
Mhm.
yeah.
Yeah.
So Mike, you want to jump in? Maybe where do we go from here? What's your opinion
I
on that?
I think they said it well. They're more experts in that area, but I just really think um, just more awareness and just being able to speak out. I think platforms like this works, um, and just bringing the awareness. Like you can have a space that you can talk about it and get a solution. But like as Sherman was just saying, I didn't know all of that, and um, these laws, have been passed like that because honestly, that's one of the things I've been thinking about is our leadership don't really from the top. I'm just being quite frank from the top in in United States don't really they don't get it, and you see the different bickering back and forth of stuff that hasn't been handled because when you really are for a nation or for a people, you really want what's best for the people and not. I'm sorry, I don't want to make it political, but you know what I'm saying. You really want to work for the people. And I think that's what when he said that just kind of opened up a whole nother thing for me. And platforms like this, making awareness of just even getting to our leadership and just talking to them and just showing them how important this is. Our leaders need healing, quite frankly.
Yeah.
I just want to add to something that you were saying, Mike, and I think is important when you said our leadership, working for the people. You have to look culturally and how some people deal with their cousins, their brothers, their aunts, their uncles struggling with mental health.
Yeah.
They put them in the closet
Wow.
and they don't want it to be seen
Yeah.
That's
because
true.
they don't see that as a strength. They see that as a weakness. And if I show weakness to the people, then you all are not going to have faith and trust that I know what I'm doing.
Right.
But you really have to show the people that we're all human and we all
Yes.
have issues and we're all dealing with something. It's not how you hide it, it's how you deal with it to make changes. And you're absolutely right. There has to be laws put in place that are going to help these individuals. How many of us know that when we grew up, we have some aunties, uncles, or cousins that had, oh, they just mental, they just got something.
Right.
But that's how they were addressed versus addressing the issue.
Yep.
Because there were issues there that caused them to get to that place of mental brokenness.
And
But
that's
if you never address the issue, you're going to continue with the mental brokenness, but you're not going to provide the financial support that needs to help these people heal. You're just going to put them out, let them cause harm to everybody else, and then say, oh, I'm sorry, I didn't know this was going to happen. And you knew that this was going to happen.
right.
Because when people are hurting and they have no place to run to anymore, they begin to lash out.
Right. So oof, I think we all need to take like a pause, just take a deep breath. Because I know I do. So I'm assuming y'all do too. All right, so just to take a deep breath, and we're right on target actually, 8:30 as promised. If you have any questions, please feel free to unmute your mic. And let's get these questions and answers underway. Anybody?
Well, I wanted to ask a question, Sherman. You were talking about what are some things that I heard you talking about the Play-Doh and the coloring, just different things that outlets that we could use. Maybe share with people that will help.
Okay, shoot. Depends on the guy. What's your flavor? Shoot. I mean, most guys, most people like to go outside, like to run around, do activity out there. Something simple as like literally throwing a frisbee, squeezing a ball, like a stress ball while you're talking. I know A lot of people that pop their knuckles and stuff while they talking because they nervous. They always biting. If you see somebody with like that they bite their nails and stuff and they always fidgeting, give them a stress ball, something simple, and it will ease them. Playing pool, I do that a lot with my clients in the office. Man, they love it, even if they bad at it. It builds up that rapport. Something simple to do. Card games and stuff like that. Talking a little smack, using a little comedy. Yeah, it helps. But mainly for myself, like if I'm doing a coping skill, I'll use the Play-Doh, I'll journal, I'll draw, I'll color. And then sometimes I might even tear it up and throw it away until I'm ready to really deal with it and leave it in the book. Like it really depends on the person and where they're at. So many things, man, especially group therapy. Some people don't like it at all. Some people really, really love it. And you won't know until you really like jump in that thing. You find the perfect group for yourself and that people get involved. The group checks themselves. They put each other in their places and they support each other. It's nice.
Good evening, everybody. I thought my mic was on earlier. I was trying to say something and realized I was muted. First, I'm going to thank Monique for having this platform, which is a beautiful platform. And a big ups to the brothers that's on the panel.
Thank you.
Guys, you touch me. You guys touch me. Not that I have a question, I just have something to say. So I'm gonna make it short because I know other people might want to say something. Like you two brothers, I grew up in a single household. I'm much older than you guys. I'm about to turn 64 soon, so I'm much older than you guys. When I was growing up, like you were saying, the Black man was not taught to release any stress, any emotions. What we were taught is like you alluded to earlier, suck it up and move on with it. Get it going, So like you said, I'm just piggybacking off what you said. We go into adulthood with all these mental issues. Like me, myself personally, mother at home, but the mother's not taking care of us, You guys probably had meals every night. We didn't know what that was, I didn't know nothing about that. There's no way in hell I could sit back and remember once any of us sitting at a dinner table. And even a simple question that would make the kid feel good. How was your day in school? Not once, but off, not trying to move past that, but I have 2 grown sons. And I've done all I could in my heart to make sure that they understand that there are outlets and that you're not weak to cry. My sons and my daughter and wife, they've seen me cry. According to them, I'm like a teardrop away from being a crybaby. But, for real. But the thing is, there's some healing that comes out of that, And on the subject of marriage, you can't go into a marriage and you already have mental baggage, and not even know that you have mental baggage, because with the way I grew up, coming out of Bed-Stuy, ghetto. You don't even know ghetto compared to what I've been through, and to get to where I'm at now. I say, and not trying to toot my own horn and pat myself on the back, but a lot of people helped me along the way, And I'm not gonna stay on, but thank you for your insight. Thank you, Mo, for this platform. And I'm gonna be honest, at first I didn't believe in it. I'm just being real. And Mo, no, I'm straightforward. I'm thinking that nothing gonna come out of this, but something did come out of this, And I'm glad that to share this time with you guys and you, Mo. I'm really thankful.
Appreciate that.
You're welcome. Anybody else got any questions or anything they want to share?
Yeah, I do have a question for all three of y'all, in fact. Um, I would like to know what are some of your personal strategies to breaking old habits? And as it relates to that question, what productive things or practices do you fill your time with all the time?
One of the things I do a lot is uh-oh. Okay, I'm sorry. I was
Go
muted.
ahead.
Yeah, faith is real big. My faith in God is like first and foremost. So affirmation, scripture that I continue just reminding myself of how God sees me, you know, and that He has me here for a purpose. Those are the things that continue to keep me and motivate me and keep me going.
Let me see. The things that I guess keep me from making barriers. Is really staying in tune with the people that love me the most in my circle. That help me stay aware of what I'm feeling and what's going on with me. My mom, my friends, my family. You know, really bouncing back off them, man. Because a lot of times with counter transference, it gets so real in therapy, and that's when it gets like it could be something simple like coming off like a authority figure or something like that to a client or something like that. Like you have to be able to check yourself. So I have to be able to check myself to be like, hey, it's their time. They're here to heal. And family and friends really help with that. My coping skills help with that. Meditation helps with that. My coping skills, like I said, pool, uh, cards, talking like reaching out, like being consistent with a thought. That's what the main thing is for me. That's what it is. A main thing. If I feel like I'm missing somebody, or I feel like really impulsive on some positivity, I'll just go do it. If I really want to go volunteer or give back, I'm not gonna wait for everybody to come around and make a whole list. Hey, I'm just gonna go over to a church and just donate, and get it off my chest like that, and don't wait, don't hesitate. If it's something positive and it's something good for yourself, go. That's what I do.
Um, one of the first things that I do is I do reflection every day. Uh, I have to reflect on what I have said to someone or some action that I may have carried out, how it may had someone feel. So I reflect, uh, and I have to know that uh, my struggles is a journey every day, because it's easy to go back to that place of comfort. So if I don't have that reflection, I can easily revert back. My second thing is meditation. Meditation brings me to a place of peace internally, so that I can understand that as I continue along my journey, I have to understand that this journey is going to continuously have obstacles put in my way in order for me not to make it over. So I have to meditate so that I can continue to move forward. My last thing is worship. When I'm in my worship and I'm in my peace with God, and I'm at that place and I am releasing everything that is self to connect with Him, I'm all right. Those are my things.
Thank
I
you
hope
guys
that
for
answers
sharing.
your question.
Anybody else?
Hi, everybody.
Hello.
First off, I want to thank Mr. Pratt for inviting me to the group.
Oh,
It's
thank
really
you.
not a question. Everything, it really touched me. I'm a grieving mother. Um, I lost my son 11 months ago. I have two more sons that I need some help with. When I say help, which means like some type of therapy for them. They attended one therapy session. I didn't feel it because they wasn't feeling it. The therapist was a little older. She was like 70 something. This is like, and it was on Zoom, so they wasn't paying attention to anything. So to me, reaching out to some of the gentlemen in the group, maybe you guys can give me some resources or direct me some type of way to get some therapy for my two young boys. Because they're in a dark place. All they do is just stay in their room and play their video game.
I would say there's this website. What state are you in?
I'm in Detroit, Michigan.
Okay, so I'm not really well versed with Michigan, but I know for a fact there's this website called psychologytoday.org. And it's kind of like a Facebook for therapists who are looking for work. You can find them. You can use your like a search engine. You put your insurance in. You put the demographic of what you want. Like, do you want a male therapist? You want a black therapist? Do you want somebody in between a range? It's psychologytoday.org. Psychologytoday.org. You go
Trina,
in
put that
there.
in the chat, please.
Yeah, psychologytoday.org, and you'll find somebody. And if you don't find exactly what you want, you'll find something very similar to what you want. And it's a worldwide web, and it's not every single therapist that's in the whole city, but it's the ones that pay to get on there, and it's really popular. So they'll end up reaching out to you eventually. And if you don't get somebody on there, you try again because, hey, it's a search engine. It's so much, and a lot of people don't know about it. And then the second way, if you really want to get someone in your face in a physical space, the best place for you to go is like to go to a psychiatric hospital and look for outpatient care. If you ask for an outpatient or community-based therapist, they should have the resources there for you to reach out and search for someone.
Okay.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
So
Oh,
you have the Black Family Development is an organization that helps a lot of young men here in the state. Sherman already spoke of the hospital. I have the Children's Hospital was one of them. U of D Mercy have a psychology department that they work with individuals to help their students get the information, get their hours of service that they need. But I think first and foremost, and I think this is one of the things that we as parents forget, is to have that real conversation with our child first and give them the true understanding of what we're trying to do to help them get to that place of healing. I had to do that with my oldest son. When me and his mom divorced, I used to have this happy baby, but then he went into this very angry kid because his mom left and she decided to leave. And then when she came back with another child. And then she left. It was that cat and mouse thing with her. And so he grew very angry. And I took him to a therapist. I just kept going. She said to me every time, he's not saying anything. But one day, he started talking. Because my consistency was key, that I wasn't giving up. And I kept going. But the hardest part is when she took a promotion, he reverted back to his rejection and abandonment issues. And he never opened back up. I continued until he asked me not to take him no more. I reluctantly stopped taking him because I knew he wasn't going to say anything. But I kept until he told me to stop. But I realized something, because now my son is incarcerated because of those anger issues. Everything that I poured in him set the foundation for his healing while he's in there sitting in it. I had conversations with him, and he did reflective conversations with me to let me know that everything that I was putting out was actually heard. I just couldn't see it because he did not know how to get to that place of letting go, because I was at that place that I didn't know how to let go. But when I got to that place of letting go, he was already an adult because he had trust issues. So when I have those conversations with him, when he's incarcerated, when I know that he is, the Lord always tends to put on my heart when he's at that place where he needs his daddy. And I always show up right on time. And he tells me that I needed you and you didn't even know it, but you show up right when I need you.
Mm.
But my persistence for his healing and my prayers is what I believe helped me and helped him. People will see this situation as a negative, but I see his situation as an experience for a testimony to help somebody else.
Mm.
And Brescia, I'll get some more numbers and things for you as well so that you can reach out to them.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Right. Again, I think we need to just, go ahead, Michelle.
Thank you, Monique, for this program. I have a question. I'm going to preface it with some information first. So I've been dating my partner for some time now. And in the beginning of our relationship, I noticed a mark on his head, right? And I never acknowledged it. And then one day I said to him, "Oh, yeah, you have that birthmark, above your eyebrow." And he says to me, "Actually, it was from a encounter with the police." So he has this permanent black and blue mark above his eyebrow. And the conversation just went cold because I don't even know how to touch a traumatic experience with the police. And I would like to think that I talk about mental health a lot. I talk about social issues. We have a great system for communicating about painful things. And this is something that once he told me that the scar was left from an encounter with the police, I'm even getting nervous just talking about it because my imagination just goes to the worst place when I think about just what could have happened. Sorry.
That's okay. It's okay.
Take your time. Take your time.
I did not mean to get emotional like this, Monique. So we haven't talked about it for about 3 years now. And I think this is very unique to a Black man's experience. And I just don't know how to, I don't even know how to approach the topic of police brutality in his life. But the scar is there every day. And I've been wanting to revisit it. And I don't even know how to start. Just the thought that the people in our country who are supposed to protect us, could hurt him to the point where he is, still physically reminded of it every day. It's just painful. And so I just wanted to bring that here and ask you all for some tips on how to bring up police brutality or traumatic experiences with the police, in relationships when you care about people. And I just don't want it to be triggering for him. But I also want to know how I can help, how we can unlock that memory for him and provide some healing. And this is our daughter talking here with me. But yeah, that's what I wanted to bring here because I think it's very unique to Black man's experience in America.
She has something to say too.
Right.
I apologize for crying. This is something
No apology needed.
No, you don't have to apologize. You don't have to apologize. I would say to recognize how you feel is normal. It's not abnormal. It's not crazy. It's not weird. It's not strange. It's just called vicarious trauma. And with trauma, you don't have to physically be in that setting or even see that issue happening. Sometimes it only takes for that vision of that scar or that conversation, and that's how trauma works. And you care about him, you love him. So that's even more interconnected. That's enmeshed and it's normal. It happens. I would say if you would desire to go forward and talk to him about it, is just to ask, is this something that you're willing to speak about? Because this is something that's been on my mind. This is something that's been on my heart. But if you want to take a little bit step back from there, hey, write it down for yourself because this is something that impacts you too. this is something that hurts you too. This is something that's on your mind as well. If you want to write it out, draw it out, process it, and it's a it's a thing that we do under supervision. You're not supposed to do it alone because somebody's supposed to see you. But it's called the invisible chair technique. So when it's difficult for you to do it or inappropriate in a way with somebody who's carrying trauma in you, you sit in the chair and you sit across from a chair and you talk to that issue, you talk to that entity and be like, hey, this is how I felt when this happened. This is what happened with me. This is where it's going. Then you get up and you go to the other chair and you become that entity or that person. You talk back to yourself in the way that you think that that entity or that person would talk back. And then you go back to your original chair and you're like, hey, I can receive that. Or you talk the way you need to close your trauma and be like, hey, you don't scare me anymore. Or, hey, I'm not so afraid to talk about this right now. You actually helped me feel better with your kind words. And it might feel goofy at first. It might feel a little silly, but to recognize how one's own thoughts go in your mind and to see yourself doing that, like it helps you decompartmentalize in a sense how you're feeling and really put it towards, hey, it's really about this person's feelings. It's really their trauma that they were going through. And I need to really like listen so I can really understand. And the emotional reaction that I'm having may be something else. It might be something that's connected outside of my partner or outside of that entity that I'm actually talking to. And you build yourself up and you build stronger communication, you build stronger trust, you're more transparent, you feel like at ease. But it's called the invisible chair technique. If you want to try it, yeah. But if you want to journal it out, write it out. But ask them like, hey, is this something that you're willing to talk about? Because I think I'm ready.
And I would have to agree with Sherman and Nichelle, correct? Am I pronouncing your name? Nichelle, just know that you are where you're supposed to be, and your question was supposed to be in this season of your life for a reason. What Sherman said, he kind of stepped in the area that I was going to say is sometimes we think we know our partner and we think we know their responses and their comfort levels about certain conversations. And when you are uncomfortable, uneased about something, but sometimes writing it in a love letter, expressing how you feel, begins to give a person a deeper understanding of their hurt. Secondhand trauma is real and unspoken of a lot of times, and it's not dealt with often. But you're dealing with secondhand trauma and you wasn't there. But here's an opportunity to let the person know that you love them and then you want to help them get through their trauma. And you don't want them to feel like it's something that's forced, but you want them to feel comfortable enough that we can ease into this together. And that when that person is at that comfort level to speak on it, that you're able to show them that you're there and that you're not judging. You're just letting them know that you understand and you want to love on.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Amazing. And Michelle, I love you, boo. And it's okay to cry. Yes,
Definitely okay to cry.
it's okay to cry.
How old is your daughter?
She's 1 year old. Yeah.
Dealing with this now makes a heck of a lot of difference in her life later.
Yeah, you're right. I think the love letter is a good idea.
I like that
you.
too.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Oh, guys, it's 9 o'clock. I'm so impressed with myself. We started on time, we're ending on time. And I think this was amazing. Gentlemen, I thank you so much for your conversation and everything that you had to offer and just being here. And you know, offering us your time.
Yeah.
And for putting up with all of my emails and everything. Yes, thank you so much for your presence and your insight and everything you had to offer to us. And someone is going to see this, if not on this video, but they're going to watch it, and it's going to make a difference.
Yes.
So this is why I do this. So I want to thank everybody, even the people who stayed on and dealt with us. Thank everybody. I mean, just think of yourself, like I said earlier, as part of the solution. And until next time,
Monique, can I say something before you close out?
sure.
I hope that everyone on this Zoom meeting understand that the journey that we're all on is predestined and we don't understand it. But the connections that we made here tonight, I hope becomes insight to a lot of mental trauma that people are dealing with, and that we can move in a direction to help strengthen others to know that there are entities out here like this that they can lean on and tune into to get to that next level of healing and peace in their life. And I want to thank you for allowing me to partake in this session with you. And I thank each and every one of you all for allowing me to be a voice in this season in your life. But most of all, I thank God for this connection.
Yeah, you're welcome. I'm glad that you guys said yes.
Yes.
All
Thank you.
right.
That's all I
Yes,
want to
this
say.
is
Is
it.
thank you for this vision and just thank you for having this platform. So continue doing what you're doing. And you know, you got my support.
I know. Thank you.
Yeah. Thanks for gassing me up, Mike. And thanks, Monique, for letting me do this, man. I really appreciate it because I was nervous. I was like, I ain't done this in a while.
Aw, you did great.
You were a pro, Sherman.
You guys were amazing. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Thank you from the
Thank
bottom
you.
of my heart. Trina, oh, I was getting ready to say unmute Sweet because I see he trying to say something.
I just want to say right quick, hey, I've never been in a room with so many educated Black people. I thank you. I thank you.
My brothers.
Exactly. My brothers, I thank you.
You're welcome.
And with saying that, good night.
Good night.
Night.
That was a good one.
Thank y'all.
Good night, everyone.
I don't even know how to cut it off now.